Chapter 1. Shaw Elliott Fenton. She was beautiful. Her smile lit up the room, her laughter like music, but every year without her made it harder and harder to remember what she looked like. To remember that smile, her laughter. I'd watched as she drove away from the school on the last day I ever saw her. At age 10, I was more concerned with heading inside to see my friends and read my books, always my books. I should have given her one last hug. She never made it to her job as a dental hygienist. A car accident. Dead. My mother was dead, and I was alone. The dream morphed into a collage of images from my life over the 14 years since I'd lost my mother. A lovely foster family, also ripped away from me. Pain and fear at the hands of the pastor father of the next foster family. The kind clerk at the ER who suspected my clumsiness wasn't the whole story after one too many times being brought in for bumps, bruises, and breaks. The mediocre families I lived with from 15 to 18. And then, I woke up in a warm, clammy sweat, the cheap motel's scratchy sheets clinging to me as the ancient air conditioning unit kicked on, spitting chunks of ice as it squealed and blasted cold air into the damp room. The dim bathroom light bathed the dingy room in shadows as I ran my hands through my hair, trying to push aside the dream. The dreams weren't new. I'd had them ever since my mom died. Each bad situation added to them, each even worse situation just piling on. I usually dreamed of my mom and my shit luck, ranging from her death to the loss of my first foster family to the abuse before I turned 18, or the crappy situations I'd found myself in since becoming an official adult. My dreaming brain didn't often find it necessary to submerge me into both bad dreams. The shitty motel I'd been holed up in was part of my crappy adult scenario, but I hadn't yet given up hope it would be the beginning of something better for me. At 24, a bookworm and a dreamer at heart, I knew I had a shit ton of baggage. Read that as trauma, but baggage made me feel less damaged. But I also knew things had to turn around at some point, right? The situation I'd found myself in between 18 and 24 was one I could have avoided, but I wasn't sure what my other options would have been. While I didn't love where I'd been in those years, I also didn't regret it because I'd been able to save up a very decent amount of money. True, a couple instances during that time period had been ugly, but I wanted to believe I was on the other side of all that now. I'd left it behind, moved across the country, and I was determined to find my happiness. Not that I thought shelters, motels, kitchen work, and temp jobs were where my happiness lay, but each day was a new chance to put my past further behind me and look forward to something I'd never had. Being happy, being wanted, being loved. I had those things once, long ago, and I was going to have them again. I didn't know how, but I was going to have them. I glanced at my phone. 8 a.m. With a yawn and a stretch, regretting the dream which had stolen an extra hour of sleep from me, I got up and went to shower. While the shelters I'd stayed in were free, there was something soothing about a room to myself. Not having to share the bathroom with 10 other people, a hot shower with no one waiting their turn. The money I'd saved up wouldn't last forever, and I was nothing if not frugal in my spending. But the motel I'd happened upon was dirt cheap and gave me time to gather myself as I moved from my last temp job to whatever lay ahead. In the past year, I'd worked in a hospital kitchen, taken night classes to earn data entry certification, and left behind the only life I'd ever known. Wiping the condensation from the mirror, I took in my golden brown eyes and dark brown hair. My skin was what people often described as olive, and I tanned easily, taking after my mother's complexion. Mom never talked about my dad. I never asked, and then it was too late. The tattoos on my arms and chest had been at the urging of my first employer when I was 18. He'd footed the bill, and I didn't hate them. Maybe only didn't love some of the memories they stirred. Not planning on any official job interviews that day, I left the day's growth on my chin and jaw. It wasn't truly scruff, but it was the best I could do. The goal for today was to explore the area while looking for a suitable job and place to live. After brushing my teeth and styling my hair, I pulled on a pair of jeans, black t-shirt, and black Vans. Checking to be sure I had my wallet and phone along with my laptop and charger in the backpack I carried, I pocketed the hotel key and pulled the door closed behind me. It was just 9 in the morning, but the city of Midtown was already awake. The day before, I'd spent time in the large East Side Midtown library and read up on the area. I didn't have a library card yet, but I was able to browse the shelves, read in a little nook for a while, and look up articles. One public interest piece had gone on and on about how great one area of the city was, Cravenwood Block.